Okay, today we're stepping back into the 6th century to explore the epic, truly cinematic story of one of the greatest Arab rulers of late antiquity. This is a tale of empires colliding, fierce desert cavalry, intense religious fervor, and a single man who unified the Syrian frontier. We are diving into the life of the Ghassanid king, Al-Harith ibn Jabalah. Long before the rise of Islam, two incredibly powerful Arab kingdoms stood on opposite sides of history. One served the Persian Empire, while the other fiercely defended Byzantium. And right at the heart of this massive geopolitical struggle stood a king whose influence literally shaped the destiny of Arabia and the Near East.
Section 1. Between Rome and Persia.
So picture the world at this time. It was completely dominated by two mutually exhausting superpowers. And, they often fought their battles through their Arab proxy states. Over in the West, the Byzantine Empire relied heavily on the Christian Ghassanid Kingdom to defend the harsh Syrian desert. Meanwhile, to the east, the Sasanian Persians backed their own allies, the Lakhmid Kingdom, operating out of Hira. These were the ultimate buffer states, right? They were out there patrolling the borders and securing absolutely vital trade routes across some seriously unforgiving terrain.
Section 2. Rise of Al-Harith. Now, around the year 529 CE, following the death of his father, Al-Harith took the reins of power within the Ghassanids dynasty. Up in Constantinople, Emperor Justinian I totally recognized that he needed a strong, unified Arab ally to counter those endless Lakhmid raids. So, what does he do? He elevates Al-Harith with unprecedented authority. He actually granted him the supreme Byzantine titles of Phylarch and Patricius, which effectively made him the top commander of all the empire's Arab allies in the east.
But it doesn't stop there. Justinian even elevated him to the dignity of king, or basileus. According to the contemporary Byzantine historian Procopius, Justinian placed as many tribes as possible directly under Al-Harith's command. This was a massive deal. It transformed the Ghassanid from just a group of tribal chiefs into the absolute paramount power along Rome's Arabian frontier.
Section 3. Defender of the frontier.
This era was pretty much defined by a bitter, deeply personal struggle against his Lakhmid counterpart, King Al-Mundhir III. Let's trace this timeline. In 529, Al-Harith helped suppress a massive Samaritan revolt. By 531, he's leading a 5,000-strong Arab contingent at Callinicum. And despite a few peace treaties, the bad blood boiled over by 546 when Al-Mundhir launched sudden raids, even capturing and tragically sacrificing one of Al-Harith's own sons. Well, the climax of this decades-long rivalry finally arrived in June of 554 CE. The two massive forces met at the Battle of Yom Halima, fought near Chalkis up in northern Syria. Here's how it went down. The Lakhmids pushed deep into the Syrian border looking for plunder, but Al-Harith's forces swiftly intercepted them right at a vital desert spring. In the absolute heat of the battle, King Al-Mundhir launched a desperate charge straight at the Ghassanid center. But the Ghassanids, they held their ground and totally shattered the Lakhmid lines. Al-Mundhir was slain, but man, victory came at a terrible cost, because Al-Harith lost his eldest son in the chaos of the melee.
Section 4. History versus legend.
An event this dramatic, it doesn't just stay in the dry history books. It becomes the stuff of legend. Writing centuries later, the 9th century Arabic historian Ibn Qutaybah actually claimed that the Lakhmid army at Yom Halima was a staggering 1 million strong. Okay, obviously that's an impossible number, but it really highlights the massive mythical scale this battle took on in the Arab consciousness over time. In fact, the battle is literally named the Day of Halima, after Al-Harith's daughter. Romanticized Arabic poetry perfectly captures the scene. Halima perfumed the 100 champions on that day and clad them in shrouds of white linen. She was basically preparing them for martyrdom. It's such a haunting, vivid image that transforms the brutal reality of border warfare into this epic, mythic tale of pre-Islamic heroism. So to truly grasp the story of the Ghassanids, we have to bridge two very different worlds. On one hand, we absolutely rely on contemporary Byzantine and Syriac state records for the hard, factual geopolitics and military movements. But on the other hand, we look to those heavily romanticized later Arabic traditions to understand the cultural soul and the legendary impact these kings left behind.
Section 5. Patron of faith and culture.
But we need to remember, Al-Harith was far more than just a brilliant cavalry commander. He was actually a staunch Miaphysite Christian, meaning he outright rejected the official Byzantine theology.
And using his immense leverage, he appealed directly to Empress Theodora to secure the appointment of Bishop Jacob Baradius. This move was crucial because it protected the Syrian Orthodox Church from intense persecution. At the same time, he was out there fostering a really rich court culture, beautifully blending nomadic traditions with grand Byzantine architecture.
Fast forward to November of 563 CE, and Al-Harith travels all the way to Constantinople for a historic summit. Just think about the gravity of this for a second. A pre-Islamic Arab king, the head of a tribal confederation, walking into the imperial capital to meet Emperor Justinian as a total equal statesman to discuss succession and regional defense. It's just mind-blowing.
And he clearly left a staggering physical impression on the Byzantine court. I mean, he was such a commanding, awe-inspiring figure that years later, when the subsequent emperor, Justin II, started descending into madness, his attendants could literally terrify him into hiding just by shouting, "Arethas is coming for you." That was the sheer, undeniable presence of the Ghassanid king.
Al-Harith ibn Jabalah was absolutely not just a footnote in Roman history. He ruled at a true crossroads of civilizations. As a warrior, a diplomat, and a patron of faith, he proved that Arab kingdoms were already heavily shaping the destiny of the Near East, long before the rise of Islam. His legacy really is one of the defining chapters of pre-Islamic Arab history. So as we wrap up this explainer, I want you to think about this. How does understanding the incredible power and diplomacy of this frontier king change the way you view the ancient world?